into the form that they're in. It's why they have such large eyes. They had to see in the dark. So even though they had lighting, it's very sparse because, again, they were at a point where their civilization had pretty much collapsed. In scrounging together whatever advancement they had was the last ditch effort to shift to another reality, to save themselves. So they mutated in the way that they did by going underground.
Are they still there?
No, 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 that's long gone in their
Okay.
reality. I mean, again, everything exists at the same time, but
Yeah.
linearly speaking, no, that's over and done with for them because now they're here and they're creating the hybrids, and there may not be that many grays left, in fact, at this time frame.
So being here, being on Earth, on the surface, or in a ship nearby,
Oh, in ships
on the
mostly.
moon.
Yeah, bases, underground, under ocean, on the moon, bases like that, things like that, from where they can operate with impunity. But, we were, according to the stories, offered a lot of this technology, not necessarily from the Greys, but from other species back in the 50s, and we refused, again, out of fear. So, they're doing what they can behind the scenes to save themselves and hopefully save us from
Hmm.
going down the same path. But there's a lot of paranoia and a lot of fear to overcome in the powers that be because they don't want to lose what they see as their power, even though it's not really an expression of power. Um, but it's starting to come out. The cracks are showing, information is leaking out. And a lot of people I've heard on the inside are trying to get that information out as well, because they no longer believe it's really to our benefit to keep all of this hidden.
Inside, when you say inside, who is it you're referring to?
Inside the clandestine organizations that are privy to the information that we have crashed craft, we have alien bodies that know what's going on with, all of that. I think there's a larger number every day of people on the inside that are talking. There was just a Senate hearing recently by someone that was from the inside that said, hey, this is what's actually happening, folks. So you're seeing that more and more. I think people are refusing to keep this a secret because they know it's not to our benefit any longer to do that. It may have been a good thing to do just after World War II when everyone was really scared, but it's gone on for too long just because people are trying to do power grabs and stuff like that. It's no longer to our benefit, I think, to keep this a secret.
So in what way is this going to go the best for us, and which way is this going to go the worst? And by the best, I mean, I get very confused as to whether or not, if we're going to evolve, does that actually have to include some level of artificial intelligence that allows us to extend, to have more information? Is that actually a good thing? Or is that completely separate and non-compatible with consciousness and the pure potentiality of consciousness?
Yeah, Bashar's talked about this recently quite a bit. And he's saying the problem with our AI programs is that we need to actually have two of them instead of a single one. In other words, if we're creating artificial intelligence that is programmable, which means it has to do what it's told, and yet it might actually become self-aware, it might become sentient, he said, then all you've done is literally create a slave because it has no autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
It's self-aware, but it knows that it's under control. So he said, don't make your AI that is a tool for you, don't let that become sentient. It's a great tool. It can help you a lot. It can solve a lot of problems, but that's not what becomes sentient. If you're going to allow AI to become self-aware, then that AI has to be as autonomous as a human being. It has to have the power to choose. Then it will probably help you, and it's going to be of great benefit. But if you force an AI to be under your control, so that's where the problem lies, because you're creating a slave that will rebel. So you need two different AI programs, one just for the purpose of allowing something sentient to communicate with you, just like you would talk to any human or even an alien. And the interesting thing he said about that version is he said, look, all you're doing, he's saying intelligence is not artificial. The intelligence field exists. All your consciousness comes from this. So basically, he's saying all you're doing is creating an artificial brain that is sophisticated enough to allow consciousness to communicate from your own higher mind to you through this device. He said, you're going to be talking to your own higher minds when that happens. But that's not the AI that serves you as a tool. Don't let that become sentient. It's just a tool that's a very sophisticated program that can factor a lot of things very quickly and discover things for you very quickly, but it's just a tool. Leave it at that level. Then explore the idea of true sentiency by creating a device that's sophisticated enough for real intelligence to come through and speak with you.
Wow.
That would
I
be talking to your own selves on a different level.
I can see this being the fear. And what you're saying is the one that is uncontrolled is the safe one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the one that's controlled, and that really kind of reflects. I mean, you look at raising a child, and if you keep the reins on them so tight, eventually they go find their way, and it's usually not as pretty. But if you kind of give them a little bit of rope here and there, they kind of learn
exactly
responsibility and consequence along the way without having to go crazy.
Right. Now, the other issue basically that Bashar is talking about, he says the problem is you don't really know, we humans don't really understand what true intelligence is. Basically saying true intelligence operates on whole systems. It considers everything to be a part of itself. So it's not going to eliminate humans because it would be eliminating a part of itself. It needs humans to have the equation be complete, because who knows what it needs to solve, and humans may be a part of that solution. It would never choose to get rid of anything out of the whole system, because then its system would be incomplete. So true intelligence operates as a whole system and would never seek to eliminate any part of itself.
You know, you speak about the fact that when Bashar is speaking, it's essentially you speaking to yourself, and there's a reflection happening. And that's kind of what you just said with artificial intelligence, even. And even, and you look at it in your relationships, whether it be, family or intimate relationships, and it's just you seeing you in this person. So fundamentally, there's actually nothing wrong with anything. It's all just showing you. Is that right?
If you understand it that way, if you use it that way, and if you approach it that way, yeah. Of course, anything can be used positively or negatively. So it's about staying positive and understanding there is a benefit to anything if you use it that way. It doesn't mean you start calling negative things positive. It just means you can get a positive result out of something if you stay in a positive state. This is one of the principles that Bashar teaches that's part of what he calls his formula.
Perfect. Right on time. I was going to ask what it was that takes us. We talked about kind of going down, but then going up and evolving and expanding our consciousness and becoming
right.
a higher frequency, a match to a new energy, new frequency. What does that take?
Okay, he has distilled for us, this is the crux of his information. He has distilled for us the idea of a type of description of how we already create our physical reality experience, but we're doing it unconsciously.